Hey, Free Mind, you crazy for this. Soulful. It's like our responsibility to make us feel something. You know, to make people feel. Make people feel what we feeling. Hey, yo.
Reggie here, I was about to say your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder. It's been a long time. Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show, a show that we do on Sunday night to get the week started off on the right foot. And there is nothing like a technical glitch right before you get ready to go live. I don't know why it happens, but occasionally the 4K camera that I use to shoot will not turn on, and it will default to the one that is on the laptop, and that is just ungood. But thankfully, we were able to do a quick reboot and get ourselves back on track. But then you heard me in that intro, almost threw it off there. But I definitely want to welcome you guys to the live stream. My neighbor reached out to me and he says, are you doing your live show today? And I'm like, dude, for like 190 some odd Sundays. Yes, we are doing the live show tonight. Oftentimes the live show actually starts on time. The show tonight will be a hodgepodge. It's going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge of things here and there. We are going to try to, and I just realized we are actually incredibly early for this live stream as well. We normally go live at 7:30. We're going to do it now at 7, which probably is going to throw a lot of people off as well, but it will all be fine. It will all be fine tonight. It's going to be a hodgepodge of things that we are going to get to in this live show. I actually have invited some members of the Patreon to join me, and they are going to jump into the live stream a little bit later and mix it up with me just a little bit to have a conversation. As part of this live show, what we always do is to give you a rundown of some of the content that is going to be coming out from the channel this week. And one cool thing that happened this weekend is Wills Pertasio actually followed me on Instagram. And then his cousin reached out to me to say he thanked me for recognizing his cousin. And I'm like, well, thank you both, right? So there is a video that is going to be coming out this week featuring Wills Pertasio. I actually recorded this video about 2 weeks ago, and we are just now getting around to releasing that video. But it will drop out this week. Hopefully you guys will tune in for that. One of the other videos that we are going to be releasing this week is a video that looks at the value delta that exists between newsstands and directs. And I am doing this because potentially I'm going to be sending a bunch of books back into CGC to have those books reholdered. And I wanted to walk through it. I wanted to look at some numbers, and I also want to solicit some input from you all. So make sure you watch that video. Let me know what books you think should be sent back in to get that new label from CGC that indicates that a book is newsstand. That video will drop this week. We're also going to be counting down the top 10 most submitted books into CGC. I actually took last month off, and part of the reason why I did that is because the list in June, July, and August pretty much looked the same. And so I did not do a video last month to talk about the August submissions because, again, the previous 3 months were pretty much the same. The list has changed, and we are going to talk about those changes as well as run down the top 10 most submitted books into CGC. We're going to be doing the live show on Wednesday. That's where we're actually going to be doing the short boxed giveaway. So if you did not watch the video, the Spider-Man Must Have Comics, I definitely want to encourage you to go back and watch that video, because by watching and commenting on that video, it puts you in the running to get a $100 credit from my friends over at Shortbox. That video dropped on October 3rd. So I definitely want to encourage you to check that one out. And then, as I mentioned, we're going to do the Wills Pertasio video will be coming out this week as well. And I hope you guys, again, will tune in for that. We're also going to be doing a giveaway as part of this live stream. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. The other thing is you want to make sure you go back and watch the interview that I actually did with Matt Nelson, the president of CGC. Go back and watch that video, because watching that video and commenting on that video will put you in the running to get a free guide from CGC. We are randomly going to pick one person to get a copy of that guide. So a lot of giveaways that are happening right now. I hope you guys will continue to tune in to the content and be able to get some free stuff potentially along the way. All right, let me go to the chat real quick. I threw a lot of people off by starting early. Steve Conge, Wills Portacio was a big part of my childhood with Image. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I don't know what Wills honestly has been up to as of late. I feel like I haven't really seen him around all that much, Steve. So it was nice when he actually followed me. I thought that was pretty cool. You actually cannot tag him on social media, at least on Instagram. But I used the hashtag, and I guess he follows his hashtag maybe, and that's how he saw me commenting on this 2-part story arc that he is going to do in early January. I think it's X-Men Legends. We're actually going to get the origin story, if you will, of Bishop. We're going to find out about that mission that Bishop was on that sent him back in time to the present day of the X-Men. And so it'll be interesting to see what it is that Wills has to say about that. Rush, my Canadian brother, says he hit a con today and now he is broke. It's your own fault. It's your own fault, sir. You have no one to blame but yourself. Congrats on the brokenness. What's funny is I'm going to release a video here. I recorded it this weekend. I'm going to release a video about what it is that I picked up at New York Comic Con. And it might surprise you. It might surprise you. So stay tuned for that. This weekend, we did 3 soccer games and I recorded 3 videos. I've only edited 2 of them, but I recorded 3 videos this weekend. So it has been a very busy weekend, no doubt. Herman, how you doing, brother? He says, looking forward to Wills on X-Men Legends 5 and 6. I think the date that I saw on 5 was like January 24th or something like that. I think that was the date that I saw, and I'm guessing 6 will be coming a month after that. I am looking forward to reading those as well. Trev is on the Bishop thing. What's interesting is that there was somebody that commented, like I record these reels and shorts, you guys know that, on Instagram, on YouTube, and then I put some of them on the TikToks. Somebody commented saying that Bishop is actually a Pacific Islander. I thought he was black, but then I look at that hair. So he might be Pacific Islander when I look at that wavy hair that Bishop actually has. But somebody made that comment and it never occurred to me, because I think that Wills Portacio is Pacific Islander. I think he's Filipino, I do believe. And so it makes kind of sort of sense that he would create Bishop that way. But I always thought Bishop was black, to be honest with you. Maybe he's just Pacific Islander. Who knew? Who knew? Scrolling through, already sold my Bishop. Yeah, a little too early, a little bit too early. L Smith is up in here. Tina's up in here. Wellbore, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Chuck is up in here. I thought Bishop was black. Hey, see what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? They used the slightly wrong color ink, I guess, for him. But there seemed to be with the folks that were commenting, I'm guessing that they were Pacific Islander, I don't know, but it seemed like there was a little bit of controversy, if you will, with what Wills wanted Bishop to be and maybe what Marvel rendered him as. So I don't know the whole backstory. Like, the 90s is literally like the dark ages in a lot of ways. So a lot of not great information out of that period. The narcissist has hooked us up with a super chat. We appreciate you, my friend. Thank you very much for the contribution. All contributions are welcome here at Regie Collects. Thank you, brother. What's funny is that two of my very good friends in high school were Filipino, and we all love Bishop. I mean, again, no, there was none of this, he's black, he's Filipino, he's this, that, or the other. It was just Bishop, man. Bishop's dope. So let me scroll through. Comic Book Nerd says he's new to the community. Well, here's the thing, brother. Here's the thing. I'm guessing you're a brother. Here's the thing. As in a guy, you have found the right place. You have found the right place. Occasionally we do live streams on time. Sometimes we do them 30 minutes early. It's just the roll of the dice, what happens around here. But the comic book community is a fantastic place. And I would like to think that the best of the best parts of the comic book community find their way here. I think that the community that follows this channel is honestly just fantastic. It is just fantastic. I will tell you that. So what is that? This past Friday was our 37th anniversary. Harvey, I'm guessing you're talking about your wife and not you and Bishop. But congrats to you. 37 years is a very, very long time, no doubt. Bishop was a great character with Cable and Deadpool. Would like to see him make a comeback. You and me both, brother. I think, James, he was in some of that early X-Men stuff that was Jonathan Hickman's doing. I think we saw a little bit of Bishop in there, primarily in he appeared in the Marauders. I think he was in the Marauder stuff, kind of sort of. But I just don't feel like that character is a well utilized character. Let me tell you that I feel like there's a lot of room for that character to make some magic happen, right? For them to really do something with him. So what is that? 90s first appearances are heating up. Hey man, be careful with Speedball. I will tell you, Speedball was one of my favorite characters as a kid, and I absolutely do not know why. I literally have his first appearance over here at a 9.8 because, again, near and dear to my heart, like right along with Dark Hawk and Terror Inc. and some of the other stuff that's on the wall back behind me, takes me right back to my childhood. Scrolling through some of the comments here, what I read was Bishop was supposed to be Filipino, but Wills was told to make him black. I was bothered because I didn't understand what he was doing with that Billy. He did, I guess Wills was like, check it. If we can't have a Filipino, we're gonna have a brother with the S curl, because I thought he had an S curl. I just thought it was a Hawaiian silky. But again, you never know what was at play back in the day and why that was done. I don't know, Filipino, black, it is what it is. You ideally like to see creators be able to create what it is that they want. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, it does not always go that way. So let me see. Currently, the war captain of Krakoa. There you go. Morpheus, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Hey, be careful. I'm telling you, be careful, my friend. Don't whoo. Joey, be careful. Speedball's dope, bro. It's not a drug. There you go. How did we even get on this topic? This is not even something that I planned to talk about. I don't even know how this happened. I guess I was so thrown off by starting so early with this live stream. I don't know. I just got frisky. And decided to just go live at an off time. So one of the things that I wanted to flag for you guys as I attempt to get myself back on track, detouring from detouring you from the impromptu conversation. There was a little piece of news that I shared with you guys on, I think I put this up on Instagram and maybe on YouTube. I cannot remember, to be honest with you. I record stuff and then I release it and I forget where it goes out. But there was a little bit of news related to Blade and the Blade movie earlier today. A lot of folks, the internet exploded in a lot of ways while I was at New York Comic-Con, and it exploded because of the Werewolf by Night special presentation from Marvel on Disney Plus. A lot of folks were super excited about that movie or that show when it dropped because it was fresh, it was different, it was unexpected, and I think it was also good in a lot of ways, right? At least that's my interpretation of it. A lot of people after watching that started to highlight that the director that was responsible for that special presentation should not just be given Blade, but should also be put in charge of the entire monster universe underneath the Marvel Universe umbrella. And I do believe, and you guys may have to correct me if I'm wrong on this, that the director is actually a composer. He technically is a musical composer that composes a lot of music for Marvel, DC, and a lot of other movies out there. And he is highly regarded for his ability to compose music for movies, for TV shows, and to make it work. I think that this was his first directorial debut, and he crushed it. He really crushed it. But in so many ways, if you listen to him talk, it was a labor of love. It was a labor of love because he was actually a Werewolf by Night fan. And I listened to an interview of him talking where he highlighted that he still has Werewolf by Night comics from his childhood. And so I think that his opportunity to work on this was honestly a labor of love. It was something that he thoroughly enjoyed from beginning to end. And I think that he has desires to do other movies, to basically direct them, but he does not seem to be interested in directing Blade. And so this article that was here on the direct, and I think it appeared elsewhere because I think he did an interview when he was asked a very direct question as to whether he wanted to take on Blade. He was like, no. He was like, no, I'm not interested in that. And who knows why he's not, or if he's even telling the truth, because the reality is that he might not be telling the truth. We've seen actors, directors, etc., lie to us before, for whatever reason, to keep the secret because of contractual obligations. But in this interview that he did, he actually highlighted that he is actually working on some other things. And so he says, I'm in motion on other things as well. This is a slightly convoluted quote here from him where he kind of talks about it. But he basically says that he loves the Blade character, but he is not interested. He is, however, busy on some other things, and we don't really know what those things are, right? We could assume that it is him directing another movie or TV show, but it could very easily be him doing some composition work for another movie or TV show, right? Because I think that might be his main gig. I don't know the man clearly, but I'm just kind of reading between the lines as to some of this stuff that is being said. So I just wanted to pass that on because a lot of people were very excited about what this guy brought to the table. And now we know, at least by his admission, that he is not going to be helping with the Blade movie. And this is a little, maybe a little bit of a bad thing because the director actually walked away. The script has been deemed to be trash. There were only 2 fight scenes in it. Ali, the main actor, seems to be very dissatisfied with the direction that things are going. And the movie has also been pushed back. I think it's been pushed back to either 2024 or 2025. Again, you guys may have to fact check me on some of this stuff because I'm doing it honestly from memory. So I wanted to share that with you guys real quick. Let me go to the chat real quick to see if I miss anything. Let's see. So you're saying there's a chance, brother. Here's the thing. After we sat there and listened to a Patrick Stewart say that it was not his voice that we heard in that commercial, that trailer, anything's possible, right? I'm like, dude, you have an unmistakable voice. There's no way that that's not you. And he said, people have been using my voice for a long time. Sure they have. Sure they have, especially when you go to the recording studio or to the lot and you actually say the things. But you never know. You never know how this stuff will play out. So you're saying he's old with those Werewolf by Night books. I am not saying that, but if that is your interpretation, hey, things happen. Okay, we've decided that we're just going to move on with the show. Stuff happens, brother. We'll do it live. Okay, we'll do it live. That is the answer. Scrolling through. Brother, you have to stay busy. You have to stay busy. I'm like a shark. If you don't grind, you die. That is the mantra right there. Joey Stuntmaster making it rain up in here. So for those people that showed up late, which is kind of sort of on time, except when I start the show 30 minutes early, I've already run down the content that's going to be coming out from the channel this week. There's a lot of good content coming out, some stuff about Will, some stuff about newsstands, CGC stuff, a lot of good stuff, podcast, all that kind of stuff, the normal stuff. You guys will check it out. It'll come out. It'll be great. Everybody will love it. That's just how we're rolling tonight. All right. So let me scroll through. All right. So I think I'm all caught up on that. A lot of people have been asking about GarageCon. A lot of folks have been asking about GarageCon. So I wanted to provide an update on that. I was trying to put this together earlier today, and I think I was successful at updating the page on regiecollects.com that concerns GarageCon. For those that don't know, GarageCon is going down on November 19th. I think it will start at about 9 o'clock and run to maybe 2 o'clock. It is about 33 days away. For those that really don't know, GarageCon is literally a con that I have in my garage. It is an opportunity for people that watch the channel to come here, meet one another, hang out, talk some stuff about comics, and just enjoy one another's company. And so it is going down on November 19th. My entire family is going to be here to support this thing. Fingers crossed. As you can see some of the photos, we have a good turnout, the same way that we did in 2020, 2021, and I think we did it in 2019 as well. I lose track, but we've been doing this for several years. Fingers crossed that folks will continue to turn out. If you do think that you are coming to GarageCon, the registration page is now up. The registration page is now up. If you go to regiecollects.com /garage-con, you can find the registration page here. Essentially, to register, all you have to do is to key in your personal information along with your a photo of your ID. And I would say if you have multiple adults that are coming with you, IDs for all of those people, because you're coming to my house, it's important that we know who's coming and we know who you are. And so hopefully people can get on board with providing me with their information, especially because I have to provide you my information. So nobody will see that information other than one of my younger sisters, who is going to receive that information, compile it for me so that we know exactly the number of people that are expected, because we're going to be doing some stuff this time. We're going to have, of course, a porta potty, because porta potties are important, but we're also going to have some food as well. I'll be working to have a caterer come in and do some food so that people can hang out, eat, and enjoy one another's company. GarageCon is going down, like I said, on November 19th. The registration is up, and when you register, what you'll end up getting initially is nothing. You'll get nothing, but as we get closer to the event, you will actually get an email with the exact address to GarageCon. But for the purpose of planning and driving and all that stuff, you can navigate to Weddington, North Carolina, and the zip code is there if you need to figure out how far a drive you might have to make, or distance, or whatever it happens to be. That is it right there. All right. So let me go ahead and close out that window. Let me go back to chat real quick. Except when I'm not. Except when I'm trying to get on a plane. I got stopped when we were at New York Comic Con, and I was trying to leave to get on a plane, and it seemed like people knew that I was trying to leave, and they were coming to the booth, and it was intense. I had to stop smiling and break myself away so I could get on the plane. And I made it to the gate. I made it to the gate at New York Comic Con by 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes before they started to board, which technically is 30 minutes, because the boarding process is about that long. But I made the magic happen. So hopefully you guys can make it out to GarageCon. There's a lot of people here right now that are hanging out that were at GarageCon, and this guy right here was one of those people that came. Sky, how you doing? Best of the best shows for comic news. Thank you. I definitely appreciate that. We try to deliver the news. Shout out to Chris Bigger for keeping me supplied. So one of the big things that will happen at GarageCon is that we are going to be releasing our guide. The guide to smart comic collecting will be officially released at GarageCon. We did it last year. We're going to do it this year. It is 92 pages of wonderful comic book content. And I want to show you guys, the table of contents for this thing. And again, it is a very big guide full of some great information. Chapter 1, a deeper dive into comic collecting basics, understanding the comics and collectible markets better. That's chapter 2. Chapter 3, your mind, the most important collecting tool. And that's a very meaty chapter. And then chapter 4, food for thought. And we're going to get controversial in that chapter. I will tell you. Chapter 5, using data, how you go about using data, and the fact that data can be your friend. That is what's contained in here, is 5 chapters. And as you look at that, if you picked up the very first volume volume of the guide to smart comic collecting, you probably know that the guide was also a very thick guide. But everything that was written for this one is completely new. This is all completely new content. Nothing is regurgitated or borrowed from the first, other than maybe an ad or something like that. But generally speaking, this is all new content. It doesn't matter whether you are a new collector, a seasoned veteran, somebody that is newly returning to the hobby. The guide can help you. This is actually an advanced preview copy that we did for New York Comic Con. There are a handful of these that we printed. Well, technically a couple of handfuls. We printed 100, and this is available on the website, regiecollects.com. You can actually pick up the advanced copy, or you can wait to pick up the regular edition that will be dropping in November, and there will be some surprises associated with that we will not talk about, but there are hints. There are hints that have actually been sprinkled through this entire live stream, and you will not know what they are, honestly, until the secrets are revealed. Then some of you will actually remember what I am saying right now, and you will put the pieces together. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You guys are hilarious. Well done. Well done. I'm scrolling through. Kevin, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Doug. Sometimes we just start the live stream early, Doug. Okay. Sometimes we just do it 30 minutes early. You just go with it, Doug. It's better that we don't it's better that we don't dig into it. Okay. We will not dig into it. The other thing I will tell you is we are going to do a giveaway. I'm actually going to give away a copy of this. We're going to give away a copy of this when this live stream concludes. You have to comment on the video, and in about a week, I will randomly pick one person to actually give a copy of this to. It is available in the US or in Canada. Canada or the US, North America, you can get in the running. You leave a substantive comment on this video after the live stream, and you can get a copy of the Guide to Smart Comic Collecting, the early New York Comic Con advanced copy. So there you go. All right. Scrolling through, I think I'm all caught up. I'm trying to read. Where was this guy back in the Sorry, brother. Sorry. So for those members of Patreon that are here in the live stream right now that have an interest in coming on live with me, you may not have seen this, but I put a post up on Patreon giving you an opportunity to join me on the live stream to talk about our topic at hand about influencers. So we're going to get to that in just a hot minute. So if you are a Patreon member and want to join, I have one behind stage right now that we'll bring in as we get into that conversation. But if you are a Patreon member and you want to jump into this one, it's going to be a very fluid conversation. I'll bring you guys in one at a time. We'll try to get to everybody. No promises, though. And I have no clue where this conversation is going to go. Again, I started the live stream 30 minutes early, so all bets are off that any of this makes any sense at all. The other thing that I put up on regiecollects.com as a fundraiser for the second issue of Isolation is a premium package. It is a premium package of every single cover of Isolation that we released. And we released 10 different covers, 10 different total covers, plus the ash can, 11 different copies of Isolation issue number 1 that we will make available. And so I only have a handful of these bundles. This is the one. This one is actually one of 25. There are only 25 of these that were done. The first 25 copies of cover A that I pulled out of the box all got this special little label here. There are only 25 of them total that are out there. So that's cover A, that's cover B, here's cover C, cover D, the Patreon exclusive cover. You had to be a Patreon member for 3 months in order to get that one. I think this is E. I may have lost track. E right there, triple signed cover right there, premium cover, really awesome. This is F. This is the con exclusive right there, really gorgeous cover. Steve Conge's cover, Comic Book Cartel right there. That is his cover. And then we have the covers from Comic Tom. That is, what is it, Dracula 10? I think it's Dracula 10. That is his cover right there. You can actually see it better right there. And then that's the black and white version. Both of those covers were done by Nate Mated, who I had a chance to meet. But those are the covers. This is the premium package. And what I'm doing is I'm putting together, there's bundles of these. and then I'm throwing a bunch of other odds and ends into the box. It's a pretty nice package. It goes out in a medium flat rate shipper because I try to fill it up with as much stuff as I possibly can. If you are interested in supporting Isolation issue number 2, which is the lettering was just finished this morning because our letterer lost power for 3 days. So the lettering was just finished. We are going into the finished production layout phase, and then we are off to the printer. Fingers crossed we can get this book out in November. But if you're interested in supporting Isolation issue number 2, which will drop in November, the premium package is available to you on regiecollects.com. There you go. All right, Brian, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Scrolling through my bad. I don't even have the first 25. Technically I do, but will I keep one is the question. There is somebody out there that already has one. In fact, there is somebody out there that already has one of those covers. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you. Scrolling through the comments, getting ready to sign up for GarageCon. Had such a good time. It was an absolute pleasure to meet you last year, brother, when you made it out there. No doubt about it. Frog Brawler, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Richard, I think we already saw that. Just got done splitting firewood. I've been in. There you go. All right. So with that, I want to go ahead and transition to the topic at hand. And it's this question about influencers. Now, I will tell you that this is not necessarily a conversation that is sparked by any like controversy, if you will. I think that there was some stuff that may have bubbled up at New York Comic Con, but this is not what sparked it. What sparked it for me was I was having a conversation with Travis, with Comics with Bueller. And we were just having this conversation. And I was also talking to Nerdy Girl about this. It was like a little bit of me moving around, talking to people about the same topic. And it was this question of influencers. And, you know, it's a question of, well, are we influencers? Am I an influencer? What is an influencer? Are there different types of influencers? Or, you know, I consider myself in a lot of different ways to be I try to be an ambassador of the hobby, right? Like I think my gig is to introduce people to the hobby, to make people feel welcome, to give them an opportunity to get some solid footing and maybe some information that will serve them as they move into the hobby of comic book collecting, right? And when I shared that idea of ambassador with Bueller, he made a comment about he considers himself to be a doorman, and for much the same reason. He feels like his job is to open the door to the comic book community, to outsiders, to welcome them in as the doorman. And I didn't care for that. I didn't care for the doorman term. I'm more of an ambassador. It's like a higher level. It's like a higher level thing. But that was how we were thinking about it. And so it started me thinking of, are we ambassadors? Are we doormen? Are we influencers? Am I an influencer or am I something else? And what role do we play? And so I have not arrived at any tangible outcomes. It's something that I've just been kind of noodling in my head. And so again, if you are a Patreon member, you want to come on and talk about this, there is a link on the Patreon page for you to jump into the live stream like we normally do whenever we do our behind the scenes conversation. You'll just be front scene to be able to come in. But I want to go to my first guest here that has been waiting ever so patiently since the show started. It is my buddy Chuck. Chuck, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Reg?
Chuck, did you know I started the show 30 minutes early?
No, I just happened to be on, and there you were.
I was in here. I guess I was in here trying to get set up, and I don't know. I don't know what happened. I had a brain fart. Yeah, I had a brain fart, but here we are. Now on time. Now we are officially on time for the live stream for all the people that actually flow in here. Chuck, influencers, are they what are they? Are they good? Are they bad? Are they necessary? Like what say ye about that?
Well, I think that's a tough question because, as you said, you don't perceive yourself as an influencer. But just because you don't perceive yourself as an influencer doesn't mean you aren't influencing people. And I think a lot of the what I'm hearing from people, it's a lot of, you know, people who amass a following online or somewhere else who are promoting a particular point of view, and it may be from a perfectly benign standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, which is one thing, or the people who have much more of a financial or whatever other agenda going on. And then, you know, people watch them, and you watch the market and collections do what they're going to do, you know. And I remember this was a couple of years ago. You remember when ASM 110 all of a sudden got on cover price.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, now wait a minute. We need to, you were like, we need to dial this back a little bit because
that was scary.
And you know, that's right. And so I think that's kind of, you know, people are still trying to figure out this whole YouTube thing. I mean, we've been doing it for 3 or 4 years, but the comics community is both small enough and large enough that, you know, you've got your group of people. Tom might have his group of people. Somebody else may have their group. And sometimes they overlap and sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But is it good or bad to be an influencer, right? And this isn't about me. This is not about me. It's not about Tom. Like we're speaking about this in general. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it a benign thing? Does it depend? You know what I'm saying? Because so much of what you hear in my mind, whenever I hear about influencers in the general world, it is oftentimes to the negative. They are influencing people to do something bad, or they're using their influence to direct people in a negative way. It has a negative connotation to it in my mind. But what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you. I hear that, and I think of some of these big superstars who have, you know, these 8 million, you know, followers on Instagram who are, you know, specifically hawking or specifically promoting a certain thing to influence you to do that thing.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I take that as a negative. But on the other hand, if you're just a person out there promoting something you like, and you're influencing people that way, then maybe it's not a bad thing. I mean, I talk about comics in the classroom.
Yeah,
and I promote comics in the classroom.
Let me ask you this: in this environment where everybody can have a couple of lights and a microphone, are we not all influencers? Right? I mean, technically, we are all influencers, right? We're influencing one another, right? I mean, so is it such a thing? And I'm not trying to persuade you either way. I'm simply just trying to have the conversation. But what technically is an influencer if we all can influence, right? Isn't it just people with microphones and cameras talking?
Well, yeah, but you know, in this case, to pardon to use a cliche, size matters, and you know. You know, it's one thing when you got my 13 followers on my YouTube channel, which is great. And, you know, and I think my daughter's 2 of them. So, you know, bless her.
Wait a minute. Not your wife? Not your wife?
No. My wife is not interested in that in the least bit. No.
Your wife's right where my wife is. Cool. Just checking.
Yeah. You know, but, you know, those 13 people may already agree with, you know, what I'm saying. So I haven't really influenced anybody new. As opposed to all of a sudden, if I get 10K influencers. And I'm on there talking about the greatness of Scooby-Doo, and it's not just Tina and I agreeing that Scooby-Doo gold keys are the best thing in the world to buy, then yeah, I've influenced somebody.
I'm going to be honest with you. Even if you had 20,000, I'm not going to sign up for a Scooby-Doo comic, okay? Like, I'm just not, right? But it's something that again, that I struggle with, because I personally do not consider, like, going back to ASM 110.
Yeah.
That comic spiked 300%, and that freaked me out. It really did freak me out, because that wasn't the goal. Like, that wasn't the objective. I didn't profit from that. It was us as a Regie Collects community having fun, and that happened. And I was like, that's could be dangerous if not used the right way.
But the difference there is we were having fun. And I think even the people who looked at the data and said, what the heck is going around here, could backtrack it and figure out it was people having fun, versus you sitting there with 55 copies of it that you were then putting it up on your website and marking it up 300, 400, 500%. That's where I think we start hearing people starting to have issues, is when they start seeing things like that and they go, now, wait a minute here.
I will tell you,
listening to you?
That experience made me extremely cautious about the things that I did. Like, I was always cautious, like, about what I said to some degree or another, right? But as a result of that, I was also very careful. Like, I, as a result, don't sell comics that I talk about, because I never want somebody to come and say, well, you talked about it and then you put it on your website. You know, like, it's a pump and dump thing. Like I have people that will send me messages. Hey, will you sell? No, I will not. I will not, because I don't want to ever be in that situation where anybody can accuse me of doing something nefarious with my audience. And that's not to say that I don't make mistakes. It's not to say that I don't sell books. It's to say that I try to be purposeful in my actions. And so the question that I have for you is size does matter, but I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, does intent also matter in what you do and how you execute? Would you agree with that?
I agree completely. You know, your reputation at the end of the day follows you everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And, you know, that really matters. And if people know that you're doing this for fun and that it's positive for the channels because people are enjoying it, that's one thing, versus if people have dealt with you and they've got some questions about what's going on, and then that just feeds into more mistrust and other issues.
Yep.
So,
and we certainly don't need that, right?
Right.
I feel like over the last couple of years, maybe during the pandemic, I feel like it's kind of spilled over a little bit, where things are a little more negative maybe than they were in the years prior, or maybe I'm just paying closer attention. I don't know what it is. I see Phil Tastic here behind the scenes. I don't know if Phil is going to go on camera or whether he just wants to do voice only. So let me back you out. And
Sure.
I want to pull Phil in and see whether he does want to get in on this conversation. But stick with me, Chuck. Okay.
Okay.
Phil Tastic, how you doing, brother?
Hey, Reggie. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with the camera. I don't know if it's the connection or whatnot, but my
all
camera's
good.
on.
Like I saw it down there and I saw it coming in and going out, and it looked like the camera was having a problem. So I figured you were still here. So maybe you were just keeping the camera off. Phil Tastic, what say you about this idea of influencers? Good, bad, benign? Are they influencers? Are they ambassadors, or are they doormen? The way that Travis thinks about them. What say ye?
Well, I think, look, you're in marketing. I think you know as well as I do. Us as consumers are bombarded with information every single day. Some seeps in and some doesn't. That's just how it is. I don't define influencer necessarily as an individual. I think it's a whole bunch of different factors. I mean, right now, somebody could be staring at your wall, Reggie, looking at that Thundercats slab. Without you even mentioning it, they might be saying, gee, I need to buy myself some Thundercats.
Yeah.
And as far as when we recognize it, unfortunately, this is something I learned, I'll tell you, in my youth. I used to work at like an indoor kind of amusement park when I was in high school. And my manager was very customer service heavy. He said, look, you always have to do your best, because people will go and tell 10 friends if they had a negative experience, but only 2 friends if they had a positive experience. And I think, unfortunately, the only time we hear the word influencers is when it's like this big boogeyman, like, oh, I couldn't get my book at Comic-Con because the influencers got in the way. Like it's a big monster. Really, I mean, as far as if an influencer is a positive or negative or not, I think it really is dependent on the person receiving the message. You know, are you a strong enough consumer where you say, you know what, I'm not going to buy this book just because so-and-so said so. I'm going to buy this book because I like it. And look, I mean, there's a lot of positive influencers too. You just had a whole series about Jim Lee books not too long ago. So chances are, if you like Jim Lee art, maybe you're going to go and pick up one of those books. Hey, look, anybody who has early image books from the 90s knows that, because certainly we weren't reading those for the story.
Sorry. So I see this pop in here. What is that? Influences occur. It is. It really is. And to Phil Tastic's point, the only time you really hear the word influencer, if you will, is in a negative sense. And that's why I think that there's always this negative connotation attached to it. I'm gonna just put this comment up there. I'm not gonna read this comment. I'm gonna just go ahead and put that one up there and let that one be what it is, right? But Phil, you said something really interesting. You put it on people and not the person. And what I mean by that is, you said it is up to the people to decide whether they want to be influenced by what they see, what they hear, and what comes to them. And I think that's a slightly different take, because again, I don't consider myself to be an influencer. I consider myself, again, to be an ambassador. I consider myself to be somebody that tries to create content for people to enjoy. I don't know that I'm always purposefully setting out to move things in a certain direction. And if I do, I try to make it's a positive one, right? I mean, I try to influence it maybe in the positive direction, but you took a slightly different take to it by putting it on the individual. And I think that that's a little different, but let me pause to see whether you have some additional thoughts, because I can't read your body language.
Oh, no problem. I'm in by the way, a 3-piece suit with 2 monocles, just so you know, too. You can't see me, so you've got to imagine that visually. And we're in our living room, which is all gold and whatnot. Just to give you guys a visual. Anyway.
Well done, brother. Well done.
You know what? I think the difference is, as a quote unquote influencer, do you do it positively or do you do it negatively?
Yeah.
I mean, you and many others make it a point in saying, hey, look, these are my observations. Don't go and spend your entire paycheck on, the next big book because I say that I like it. And I mean, look, let's face it, comics, especially older comics right now, don't cost 10 cents anymore. It's not kids going with their change from school, from their lunch at school, their lunch money to buy 10 books anymore. It's your paycheck. It's your take home. It's hopefully whatever you have left over after you've paid your bills and take care of stuff.
Yep.
You've got to be responsible in that.
I think your kid was trying to get in on that action.
By
putting
Matthew
in
tries to jump in every
an appearance. I mean, sooner or later they're going to start to tell you that you're not doing it right. I mean, I think that's what all kids do. But again, Phil, I think you're taking a very interesting approach to it. And only it's a struggle, because I think that I still believe that there are a lot of people out there that create content that could be considered influencers that are nothing more than just regular members of the comic book community. And to Chuck's point, the comic book community is both big enough and small enough at the same time that a person with a few hundred followers can have actual influence, and I think we all individually have a lot of influence on one another, especially because of the interconnected nature of the community and the community's ability, honestly, to reach out and talk to one another. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just had the president of CGC on. I just had a conversation with Will's Protasio's cousin, and Will's followed me. And, I talked to Doug and Chuck and Mark. I talked to lots of people every single day. We all are influencing one another because we're both small and big enough all at the same time. But Phil, before I transition back to Chuck, any additional thoughts before I move on?
Yeah. Bottom line, I'm sorry, I got distracted by that one too.
The comments will throw you off, brother. No doubt about it.
Oh, it's another show. I have to go back and watch the replay just to see them, and it's always great. Bottom line, I think it's up to us as the viewer to say, hey, look, I'm not going to go out and spend $600 on a complete run of Conan just because Matt Woods likes Conan.
That would be crazy. That would be crazy.
But people will do it. But at the end of the day, you know what? I'm of the opinion, if you are somebody who's susceptible to doing that, either God bless you, you got a ton of money coming in, you don't have to worry about that, or maybe you need to take a YouTube break.
Ooh, well said. I think I actually did a video on that once, right? Where I think in the video I recommended that people, remove eBay from their phones and maybe take a break from social media and even from YouTube, because the reality is that you cannot follow all the direction that's given. You cannot follow all of the advice. You cannot do everything that everyone on social media says, or you're going to put yourself in a really bad situation. And to your point, if you find yourself susceptible to those types of messages, then you may need to take a step back and kind of revisit some stuff,
Yeah, 100%.
But Phil, let me go ahead and transition back to Chuck real quick, and then we will swing back to you. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So as a reminder, this is the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is a show that we do on Sunday night. Typically we start at 7:30, but we decided to start 30 minutes early today. And we've already covered off on a few things, but right now we are having a conversation about influencers and whether they are good or bad or benign for the comic book community. We're having some guests on that are Patreon members. So if you are a Patreon member, you have an ability to go to the patreon.com website, there is a post up with a link, and you can actually jump into the live stream if you have some thoughts that you want to share with us. Chuck, I'm going to come back to you, brother. Any additional thoughts as you were listening to Phil-tastic pontificate, wearing those two monocles in that three-piece suit, holding a very small yet well-dressed child? Did you have any additional thoughts?
Well, aside from the fact that I clearly came underdressed, that, you know, I like the fact that he talked about there being positive aspects of it too. And, you know, it made me, you know, hop over to my YouTube save list. And, you know, one of the guys who I follow is the Classic Comic Collector.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned a lot about romance books and, you know, a bunch of other things that I never would have ever thought to have looked at. Now, have I gone out and bought a ton of them? No.
Right.
Because I'm on a high school teacher salary.
Yep.
But it's still fascinating to learn about. And, you know, for me, you know, for a lot of us, it's that learning about everything and learning about this stuff. You know, they're the guys who talk about Golden Age comics who are fascinating to listen to. I can't drop the money on Schomburg covers. I can't do that. But it's still fascinating to learn about them and to discover about them, even though, you know, so maybe they are influencing me in that direction. But I haven't hit the lotto yet, so I'm not buying them.
So the note that I just wrote down while you were talking, because I took some notes, I wrote down three things: education, entertainment, and actionable, right? Because to some degree or another, and maybe I'll evolve that into something else, we'll see. But Phil-tastic hit on something. He kind of put it on not the person delivering the message, but the recipient. And we are all recipients, right? Mm-hmm. We are all inundated with suggestions every single day, all day, with things that we should spend our money on, things we should care about, things we should focus on. But we also potentially have to sort it into a couple of different categories. Is this educational, to the point that you just made? Is it entertainment only? Or is this something that's actionable? Is this something that I actually want to do? And maybe potentially if we put it into those three buckets, then we have a better way of sorting through what finds its way to us. What are your thoughts on there? What are your thoughts on that as you hear those three buckets?
I like that. And a lot of it depends, of course, on what the purpose of the person producing the content is doing. So,
say
I mean,
more
you
know,
it's one thing where if I go to Comics Tom, and I'm not knocking Tom, so please don't even take it this way, but he has his hot 10 of the week. That's really cool. It's fun to see what's hot. That doesn't mean I'm going to buy any of it. Sometimes it'll be educational. Sometimes it will be tempting. Sometimes it's me pulling up my list alongside of it and go, what do you know? That finally hit. It only took 20 years, you know, and Marvel horror, right? So, you know, that's great. But there's also the question of whether or not you're susceptible to the peer pressure or the perceived peer pressure of everybody's doing it. And then you see people on other aspects of social media, whether it's Instagram or somewhere else, showing off, hey, look, I just got, 10 copies of this book, and, you should get it too because it's the greatest thing in the world. And, and that's where you sort of have to know yourself and know, what your budget is and everything else. So.
Yep. And I think the thing you kind of hit the nail on the head. Comic Tom is a good dude. Like I've gotten to know Tom pretty well. I just spoke to him just the other day about something. But when you listen to Tom's show, you can still put it into those same categories, right? It can be purely entertainment because he and the rest of the crew are funny. They're entertaining. They're putting on a show and it's fun to watch. It could also be educational, right? Because, hey, I didn't know about this book. Now I know about that book. Cool. But it doesn't always have to be the third one, which is actionable, unless it's, let me go see if I have that book. It doesn't have to be, let me go to eBay to buy this book, to spend this money just because it was in the video. Because technically, if it was in the video, it might be too late for you to actually buy the book by that point. And I think that that's what people have to recognize is potentially, depending upon what the video is, when the video hits, it might be too late for you to ride that wave. Because if it's at $100 and you buy it for $110, how high does it have to go for you to be able to make that money? You want it at $10, not $110. You know what I'm saying? But Chuck, you're nodding your head aggressively and robustly. So let me get your thoughts.
Well, I'm just laughing because, occasionally I will catch TiVo doing the cover price top 10. And, you know, and one of the funny things he does, what the community has done, is they do a countdown of how many people have them. So you'll see people flash up the numbers. I've got 6 out of 6, 7 out of 7, you know, and that's kind of a fun thing to see. But that doesn't necessarily mean I need to go out there and buy 2 of them right away so I can justify and say, well, I'm 10 out of 10.
Yep.
You know, because as you say, if he's already putting it up there, chances are, you know, you're not going to make a quick buck on it unless, you know, it's something that has long legs on it. And in this market right now, I don't think anything has long legs.
And the reality is that you might just be making the person that's flashed up that 6 out of 10 some money, because when they saw that video, they immediately listed it on eBay or whatever for you, somebody to sell it, or for them to sell it for you to buy it, you know. But to that point about it being actionable, that the FOMO element, the fear of missing out, is real. It is real. And I have found myself at various stages in this hobby over the years of getting caught up in the FOMO and spending unnecessarily. And so again, it's sometimes healthy to take a social media break, to take a break from YouTube, to not follow certain content creators. And even if that content creator is me, right? If I'm influencing you to do something that is not good for you, then you should unsubscribe, right? I mean, come back eventually when you get your stuff together, right? But I get it. I don't follow a lot of people. I don't watch a whole lot of content for lots of different reasons, but part of it is there's so much. Buy this, you need to buy this, you need to get on board, right? But Chuck, let me go ahead and go to Philtastic one more time to see whether Philtastic has any thoughts, and then we are going to go ahead and wrap this up. This will probably be the last time that I bring you back, Chuck. But I do want to thank you for coming on and hanging out a little bit as a Patreon member. Where can people get a hold of you on the social media?
I can be found on Instagram at Chuck Henze, and I've got a YouTube channel, Terrific Comics and Pop Culture.
And you have how many subscribers? 15?
12 or 15, something like that.
Let's see if we can get that number up so you can be an influencer for the good. Let's see if we can do that. But check out Chuck. He is a good guy, no doubt about it. Chuck, it is good to see you. Hopefully I see you for GarageCon, brother.
You will. Take care.
All right, take care. Philtastic, I'm coming to you, brother. I thought I would give you a heads up just in case the kid was in the middle of doing something before I bring you on. What are your thoughts, Phil? You had a chance to hear a little bit of what Chuck was saying. The conversation evolved a little bit off of what you were saying. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know what? I like a lot of what Chuck said. And I think the bottom line is, I think as a collector, we have to collect with purpose. And I think that's the ultimate way to kind of shut out all influences, positive or negative. I mean, I could tell you 10 years ago, you know, of course I wasn't in the same situation I was in. I was single. I didn't have to, you know, worry about paying for a mortgage or bills or whatnot. So yeah, I probably went a little crazy with just, oh, this looks like a cool cover. And long story short, that's why I own copies of Man from Atlantis. You know, that's why that's in my collection.
Yeah.
You know, now when I go and on Instagram or look at the top 10 list, no matter what channel you watch it on, it's like, oh, that's cool. I'm not going to go out and buy Moon Knight because everybody's buying it right now. If anything, I have to say the only time those top 10 lists influence me is when my wife is next to me and I say, oh, I have that. And she's like, oh, is it a good time to sell?
That's what wives are for, brother. That's what they do. Does your wife follow Does your wife follow your YouTube?
She does. Yeah.
I don't know how you got lucky with that one.
Well, here's the deal. She doesn't have her own YouTube sign on. So she watches with my other sign on. And she's
so
going to come on one
So
day.
you follow yourself.
Yes, of course. Hey, if I'm not going to follow me, why should anybody else?
Phil, I respect that, brother. I really do. But you hit on something really important, which is a video that I created. I mean, I think you arrived at this thought your own way, but I also have a video out there, and a lot of the videos that I've created, it is collect with purpose, right? Have a goal for your collection. And by having a goal for your collection, it allows you to evaluate the influences and to decide whether this fits with your collection or doesn't fit with your collection. And if it does, then great. And if it doesn't, you have an ability and a reason for pushing that thing to the side and moving on to something else. But if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a purpose for your collection, then to your point, you end up with Man from Atlantis and a bunch of other random stuff. I once saw a collection that came into, I was in a resale shop for comics and collectibles and stuff like that. And this woman comes in, her husband had cheated on her. So she was bringing his collection in to sell for money. I went through the collection because, you know, I don't care. I'm a grave digger. But I went through the collection. And it was a bunch of random stuff. Like the guy had no focus. He had zero focus. And it's like, this collection is, I mean, it's worthless to me, but maybe it was worth something to him. I don't know. But there was really no focus to it. And I think if you were to look at my collection that's here in the room, there is a focus. There is no doubt about that. So I think you hit on something really important to collect with the focus. And I think someone else said it in the chat, buy what you like, which is sometimes difficult to do if you don't know what you like. You have to expose yourself to some things to land on what you like. And then that gives you the ability. But any parting thoughts here, Phil, before I let you go? The kid seems to want to get in on the conversation. So
of course, yeah.
He's
teething. So he just wanted to let everybody know that.
Go ahead, brother. Any additional thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say number one, if you find yourself losing that focus or whatnot, I think it really depends on who you plug into this community as well. I mean, I could tell you, I've been influenced, you know, in positive ways by watching and talking to great people like Doug and Dave, Matt Woods, the Blasters, Brian LCS, Wayne, Allen, you know, Joe, everybody.
All good people.
Yeah. And if it's a bad person, or, I mean, look, it's like a party. You go into a party. If somebody's there, you know, talking smack on everybody else there, chances are you're going to gravitate away from them. Back when we used to have parties before the lockdown. But yeah, I mean, you are who you hang around. And luckily, this community is a great community to find positive influences.
And that's pretty much what I said at the beginning of the show with that person that had just found their way to the community. I really do think that the people that surround this channel are some of the best people around. These are just good people that are here for good purposes. Like, there is no ulterior motives. There's no backstabbing. People are just like, I just want to have a friend that enjoys the same stuff as me, even if it's not the exact same stuff. Like, I love Chuck and I love Tina. I'm not a Scooby-Doo fan, but I appreciate and respect what they like the same way that they appreciate and respect the fact that I love spandex, and we all get along in that sense. Philtastic, where can folks get a hold of you on the social media should they choose to reach out and make you part of their personal community?
Sure. You can look me up on Instagram, Philtastic Comics and Art. I'm in the middle of 2 drawing challenges right now, so you'll see at least 2 posts a day for October. And also my YouTube channel, Philtastic Comics and Art as well. We have a live show tomorrow where Joe from Anachronic is going to tell us his collecting story in 7 minutes or less.
There you go. Philtastic, it is always a pleasure, brother. Thank you for being part of this community. Get that kid a teething ring or something like that. You know, like back in the day, used to rub alcohol. On gums. I don't think that they do that anymore. I think that's like ungood for children at this point, right? Yeah.
Well, he's got a gold-plated pacifier. That one is just dirty. So we're going to, honey, can you get another one? It's by the stack of $1,000 bills in the corner.
Philtastic, you are a nut. Now I know why your wife follows you. I'll talk to you soon, brother.
Later.
All right, cool. So again, we started this show a half an hour early. I don't know what happened, but I've definitely enjoyed the conversation. I want to thank both Chuck and Philtastic, 2 members of Patreon, for jumping on here, hanging out with me, talking a little bit about it. I don't know if Philtastic really has some gold-plated stuff over there. It would not surprise me. The dude's a pretty solid artist. I definitely want to encourage you to check him out. Check out Chuck as well. Again, there are so many people that are in this live stream right now. Wait a minute. Is that not what people do? Maybe it was just a Detroit thing. Maybe that's just what we I thought that was what they did. But anyway, they used to give us hot toddies. If we were sick, they used to give us hot toddies. My mother also used to make cough syrup out of sugar and an onion. And if you've never, like, you take an onion, you put sugar on it, you cover it up with a glass, and you let that sugar break into that, and you spoon it in, man. We didn't grow up with a whole lot of money, okay? So we had to make do with what we had. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. We have some really good content that's going to be coming out from the channel this week. We're going to be looking at the values of newsstands versus direct comics, especially because of the move by CGC to now recognize newsstand comics on the label, which I think is going to have an interesting impact on the hobby. We did speak to Matt Nelson, the president of CGC, about that, and along with a lot of other stuff. So if you missed that live stream, I definitely want to encourage you to go back and watch that live stream. But then again, newsstands versus direct values, we're going to be talking about this week. Whilce Portacio. We're going to do some must-have comics associated with Whilce, who just became one of my Instagram friends along with his cousin. So shout out to the Portacio family. We're also going to be counting down the top 10 most submitted books into CGC. And in addition to that, we'll be doing our live stream on Wednesday, which hopefully will actually start on time, which is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Monday, we're also going to be releasing a podcast on all of the podcasting platforms. So hopefully you guys will check that out. All right. And as a reminder, we're going to be giving away a copy of this. Give away a copy of this when this live stream concludes. Leave a substantive comment in the comment section. I'm randomly going to be picking one person to actually win this right here. And I will tell you, if you guys get super frisky, if this live stream gets 500 likes, which is super high, that is a super high number, I will give away all of the covers of Isolation plus the ash can. If this video gets 500 likes, that is 10 covers plus the ash can that I will give away to one lucky person that comments on this video if this video gets to 500 likes. And I don't know if it's possible, but I was like, let's put out a big BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal and see what happens. All right. With that said, we're going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. As always, if you need to reach me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
My body ate itself until it found this passion. They got fat while we starved, but it's power in fasting. Until I turn to ashes, I remain stoic through my rap heroics. I painted 10,000 poems, then I drank the potion of poetry in motion. I started choking, it was potent. My throat chakra downloaded, knowledge hungry. I was embarrassed I could ask my parents for money when I had a full tummy. So I asked for wisdom, better than crypto, sweeter than honey. I don't take it for granted, I don't wear capes and masks.